Today we're going to talk about multiplying integers. Now when you are multiplying with the same sign, multiplying two positives gives a positive answer. This is your normal 2 times 4 equals 8. Now, multiplying two negatives also gives a positive answer. The reason why, go back to the example, 4 times 2. If I have negative 4 times negative 2, what's the opposite of a negative? The opposite of a negative is a positive. Two negatives give a positive. So if we look at some examples here, negative 4 times negative 6. By the way, that is multiplication, that is not subtraction. Multiplication, the symbol has been omitted. The symbol has been left out, and it's been replaced with those parentheses. I want to start getting you in those good habits where you're writing your multiplication like this. You are no longer using the x, because I'm going to start introducing that x to you, putting it in expressions, and you'll get confused. Is that a variable or is it a multiplication symbol? So we are going to omit it. We are not going to use it at all. And so this first example says negative 4 times negative 6. All right, well, just do the math with the numbers. 4 times 6 is 24. Now look at the signs. You've got the opposite of a negative. What's the opposite of a negative? Positive. So your answer is just positive 24. B, negative 5 times negative 7. 5 times 7 is 35. Now look at the signs. The opposite of a negative is a positive. And example C, 8 times 3 is 24. The opposite of a negative is a positive. When you multiply with different signs, multiplying a positive and a negative will give a negative answer. It does not matter the order, if the positive comes first or the negative comes first. It does not matter. Multiplying a positive and a negative and a positive is always going to give you a negative answer. The absolute value does not matter with multiplying or dividing. Absolute value is only important with adding and subtracting, not multiplying and dividing. So a couple of examples. Same thing, just multiply the numbers. 3 times 40 is 120. So I've got a positive and I've got a negative. If the order doesn't matter, what's the opposite of a positive? That would be a negative. So your answer is negative 120. Same thing for B. Just do the math. 3 times 12 is 36. What's the opposite of a positive? Opposite of a positive is a negative 36. And then C, 4 times 7 is 28. What's the opposite of a positive? Negative 28. Alright, so now let's throw in some algebraic expressions in there. So if you are simply simplifying, alright, multiply the numbers first, then multiply the variables. If you are evaluating, if you have to solve something, then replace each variable with the given value and then simplify. So, a couple examples. For A, if we were just to simplify negative 7a times 4b, multiply your numbers first. So your numbers are negative 7 and 4, positive 4. 7 times 4 is 28. It is the opposite of a positive, so it's going to be a negative 28. Signs are different. Now that I've multiplied my numbers, now multiply your letters. What's A times B? Well, I don't know. So guess what? A times B is simply A times B. So your answer, simplified, is negative 28AB. That means negative 28 times A times B. You are done with that example. There is nothing else to solve for. Example B wants you to evaluate. Evaluate 3xy if x equals 2 and y equals -6. So this is when you need to go in and you need to substitute. You need to plug in. You need to replace those variables with the numbers. So I'm just going to write it. Maybe. There we go. 3xy is going to become 3, instead of times x, there's my parentheses. I'm not putting in an x for multiplying. 3 times 2, and instead of y, it's times, there's my parentheses again, times 6. Orders of operation, solve this left to right. 3 times 2 is 6. Keep writing, times -6. Positive 6 times -6. Just do the math with the numbers first. 6 times 6 is 36. One's positive, one's negative. They're different signs, so it's going to be a -36. All right, we are going to be focusing on the simplifying and evaluating tomorrow. So I will see you then.